Hello everyone, welcome back. So let's understand the what is XML attribute, what is field value, what is field name, and what is namespace, and how can we use these all in ESQL. So this is one of the important topic when we are learning the ESQL. So let's go through the each one of them one by one. So first we are going to learn about the XML attribute, then the field value, then field name, then namespace. Okay. So if you see this XML, this is the XML that we have discussed earlier. This contains the order detail. Under order, we have the customer name, quantity, total price, delivery, address, and the mobile number, right? But there are something, if you look clearly, there are something missing, right? In this XML, and that can be fulfilled if we use the XML attribute. This XML attribute. So what is missing? Customer name, you can see Risutivari, that's fine. Quantity is 12. What is 12? 12 liter, 12 kg, 12 ton. What is this? It is not defined. So this field has incomplete information. Similarly, total price is 580. What is 580? 580, it is the Indian rupees INR, or it is the US dollar, or it is the euro, or it is the pound. What is this? The information is incomplete for this also. Delivery address, it is okay because it has the already mentioned the country is the India and the pin code something like that. Okay, so that's it, fine. Okay. Similarly, mobile number, this has also incomplete information. This mobile number, every mobile number requires some what is it, something like that. For India it is like +91, so there will be some country code. Okay. Similarly, for the US it is +1. Okay. So Philippines it is +63. So for different country it is different, and for the UK it is +44. Yeah, +44. Similarly, for different country, different country code before phone number it is required to identify that this phone number belong to which country. So this information is also incomplete. If it is India, then it required a +91. Okay. So we have observed in single order we have lots of information is missing. What is the quantity unit? What is the price unit? What is the mobile number, country code, right? And this thing we observed in the simple small XML, right? If it will contain 1000 line of XML, then lots of information is missing, right? So this can be achieved using the help of XML attribute. So how can we write the XML attribute for this? Okay, let's understand the thing. So this same XML message I have written into here into other ways. You can see the same XML message I have written into this way. Now this XML message you can see looking good. For this customer name, this line was fine because it contained the name only, that's fine. Quantity, you can see here I am mentioning the unit as equal to kg. So from this we can conclude that someone is taking 12 kg of quantity. Okay. Generally the price I am mentioning here, I am mentioning the currency is equal to INR. So it means someone say that okay, this 580 is the Indian rupees. Okay. Address thing is fine. Similarly, mobile number, you can see I am mentioning country code. Country code is +91. Okay. So from here, it can conclude that this mobile number belongs to India because country code is +91. Okay. So now this XML message now looking good, and this can be achieved with the help of XML attribute. Okay. So XML attribute gives the more information about the XML and help us to elaborate the things. Okay. So it in simple way I can say that it beautify the XML. If there is XML, and if you want to do more information, provide more information for the field, then we can provide the more information with the help of XML attribute. Okay. So how can we write the XML attribute? That's first you need to understand. Okay. To write the XML attribute, only thing, suppose for the quantity, ideally the XML was like that. Let me copy this thing. Let me copy this thing, just 1 minute. Same message, let me copy here and let me paste to here, and let me add this two tag at the end because it is required. Just 1 minute. Okay, so now this is the without XML attribute, and this is with XML attribute. Okay, so you can see you can see the difference, right? This XML message is looking pretty good because it contains the lots of information. It telling the information about the quantity, total price, and the mobile number. Okay, now let's understand the thing. Okay, now how can we write the XML attribute? To write the XML attribute, before XML attribute it was like that, right? Suppose I want to write for the quantity, the simple you can give before tag. You don't need to use the XML attribute. There are two tags, right? This is the starting tag for the quantity, and this is the end tag. So the tag which contain the slash is called the end tag. You can see here also we contain the slash. Okay, so this is the end tag, this is the start tag, this is the again end tag, and this is the start tag. Okay, for every XML it contain the start tag and end tag. You can see the for quantity is start and end, for total price, everything you can see delivery address start tag is there and end tag is there. So end tag start with the slash. Okay, so XML attribute we write with the start tag. First point you need to remember. Okay, so you need to write, if you want to write for quantity you can write within this. If you want to write for price you can write within this. If you want to write for delivery address you can write within this. If you want to write for mobile number you can write within this. Okay, now how can we write? Suppose here I want to mention the quantity unit is equal to 5, unit is equal to kg, right? So you can write like that. You can give a space, or in double quote you can mention the first field. So first field we are going to mention, and what is the value for field with the equal to I can write. Okay, not like that. First you have to mention the unit without single double quote, and equal to, and the value for that field you can mention like that kg. Okay, so it will be the correct XML attribute. Okay, so what we have to write, the field name equal to and the field value, and the field value should be included with double quote. Okay, so first point you need to write the XML attribute with the starting tag. So the tag that does not contain slash. Point number 1. Point number 2, to write the XML attribute, what you have to give with starting tag, you have to give some space, and after that you have to give the XML attribute field name equal to XML and the value. Suppose I want to add one more attribute, so you can add one more attribute. Suppose I want to mention some like that, anything like that. Suppose country. Okay, so you can mention like that again. That's no problem. Okay, so in this way we can answer. Again, you want to add some more attribute, you can give a space and you can mention like that. Okay, so you can add any number of XML attribute. There is no limitation to add a how much XML attribute you can add. Okay, but here we need only one XML attribute, so that's the reason I am adding the unit is equal to kg. Okay, because there is no mean of writing the country for the quantity. Okay, so the third point is that you can add any number of attribute, and to the add attribute you need to write the field attribute field name equal to attribute value with the double quote. That's all. So similarly you can write for this. So just let me go back. Okay, similarly I want to write the XML attribute for the total price. So similarly I can write here as a, I want to give the XML attribute field name as a currency. So I can give as a currency equal to, and which value of for the currency. So it is the Indian rupee. So I will write INR. If it will be US dollar, you can write US dollar. So okay. So USD. Okay. So what I have written? This is the starting field for the XML or the field without the slash. Now a space XML attribute field name equal to field value XML attribute field value. So this is called XML attribute for total price. Okay, similarly if you want to add one more, so you can give a space and you can add like that. Okay, so there is no limitation. Similarly if you want to add for mobile number, so you can give a space. First you have to select the field name without the starting field name, or field name without the slash. So this is the field name without slash because this contains the slash, right? First thing I selected. Second thing, I will give a space after the field name, and I will add the XML attribute field name. So what is the XML attribute field name? It is the country code. Country code. So I will write the country code equal to double quote and the value for the country code. So value is the +91. So I will write the +91 and again in the double quote. So that's the XML attribute for the mobile number. So in this way we can write the attribute XML attribute for the any XML that you want. Okay, so I hope this you have understand, right? So in this simple XML we modified the thing, and now you can see it is looking good. It contain the unit for the quantity, it is telling about the total price currency, it is telling about the mobile country code. Okay, now let's take another example. Let's take this example. Okay, this example you can see. Okay, or let's take this example. Okay, this example you can see, currently we have a field called employee. Okay, and under employee we have the another field called employee, right? Or employee, you can see every employee there are two type of ID or a mail ID, right? Let's understand the scenario first. Suppose I am employee, okay, or I am working into a TCS. So for me there will be one employee ID and there will be one mail ID in TCS, right? Again, I am working into a project named Citibank. Suppose I am working into a project inside a TCS named Citibank. So for Citibank, there will be another employee ID that Citibank will be using for me, and there will be mail ID also for the Citibank, right? The same type of example I have taken here. So that's the reason I have taken a real type of example so that you can understand well. Okay. So the example is like that. I am currently working into a TCS, and under TCS I am working to a project called Citibank, and for me the TCS mail ID is risutiwari@tcs.com, and the Citibank mail ID is rtiwari@citibank.com. Okay. So there is a simple XML I created for myself. Okay. This content, you can see first parent tag is employee, and this tag is ending here. Under that we have the employee. Okay. But employee contain the employee contained attribute called mail ID, right? Employee contain a attribute called mail ID. So you can see there are two employee tag, right? This is the first employee tag and this is the second employee tag. So this is the start tag and this is the end tag, and this is a tag without slash, this is a tag with slash. The end tag will always contain the slash and the start tag will not contain any slash. So we need to mention the always XML attribute with the start tag or tag without slash. Okay. So here I am mentioning a XML attribute field name equal to, and the field value as a my TCS mail ID. Again, under employee I am mentioning my name as a Risutiwari. Another mail ID I am mentioning because the I have the two mail ID, right? One for the project. So here I am mentioning the my Citibank employee ID, mail ID. I can mention employee ID also instead of mail. If you remove mail, and you can mention the employee ID also here, and here same type of example you can recreate for the employee ID. Okay. And for me salary is 40,000, and currency for salary is the Indian rupee, so I mention here the INR, and the experience is my experience is 5 year. Okay. So this is the small XML that gives the information about me. So here I am using the first XML attribute here and the second XML attribute here, right? And these are the value for the field name, value name contain Risutiwari as a value, mail ID contain the rtiwari@citibank.com, salary contain the value 40,000, and the currency contain the value as a INR, and currency is the XML attribute. Again, experience contain the 5 year. Suppose this is the message source application is sending to our ACE application, and destination is expecting output in this format. So source application is sending a message to our ACE application, and from ACE destination application is expecting this information. The source is sending this one, and destination is expecting this one. So let's understand what is this information, what's the difference between this and this, right? Let's understand the thing. You can see this contain also a field called employee, and start tag is employee and end tag is employee, that's fine, okay. It also contain a field called name, is emp, okay. But the attribute for emp currently we have changed. Here the attribute for emp is mail id, but here for attribute for emp I have mentioned as a status as a active. So it will tell that the employee currently working in the company is in active status. So active means it is the employee which is currently working in the TCS, okay, or in Citibank you can say that. So there are maybe the employee type can be active, can be resigned, something like that, right? So for it tells the status about the employee. Further, under the emp we have the name, okay, okay. And currently you can see that we have the two type of mail. This is the TCS mail ID and this is the Citibank mail ID, okay. So here it is confusing, right? Here only field name is mail ID and mail ID, right? And both field contain the different value. This contain the TCS mail ID, this contain the Citibank mail ID, right? So to avoid the confusion, I segregated the thing into the two parts. I especially created a field called mail ID TCS and I kept the mail for the TCS. Again, I created a field called mail Citibank and kept the mail ID for Citibank. I also destination application want these two field into two parts. They want the currency as a different field and the salary as a different field. So I just created two field. I created a field called salary and giving the value as a 40,000, and I'm just creating a currency as a INR, another field. Further, they are expecting some unit for experience because currently it is written as a 5. So it can be a year or it can be a month or it can be a 5 decades, okay. Okay, so how many year you have worked, that you need to, what is the unit for experience they are expecting. So I especially created a attribute, XML attribute field called unit, and with the equal to I assigned a value called year. So from that it is clear that okay, this person is of 5 year of experience, okay. So this is the message the source is sending, and this is the message the destination will get or expecting. So we want to achieve this our target. We are going to send this as an input and we will get this as a output. So how we can achieve the thing. A reason behind the changing this format is that first thing you can understand, here the employee status is missing, so it is not clear that whether the employee has resigned or employee is currently active in the organization. First thing. Second thing, if you see currently the mail ID, here is the field for the TCS mail ID is, and the field for the Citibank mail ID is same. Here the field for TCS mail ID is the mail ID and the field for the Citibank mail ID is mail ID. So it is quite confusing which field we need to use for the for the TCS and which field we need to use for the Citibank. So that's reason I segregated a field. I created a field especially one for the TCS and one for the Citibank, and assigned a corresponding mail ID for the different field. Okay. Similarly for the salary, I don't know why, but they are expecting like that. They don't want the currency as a XML attribute field. So they are expecting this as a two field. They are expecting salary as a one field and the currency as a another field. And they are expecting experience with some unit, with some XML attribute as a unit. Okay. So I mentioned especially I created a XML attribute under the experience and assigned a value as a year. Okay, and similarly that will be the message will be passing to the destination application. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this message. Okay, so how can we achieve the thing? We can achieve this solution with the help of field name and with the help of field value. So what is field value? As name suggests, field value, field plus value, so it will give the value for the field. Okay, so I hope you have understand the first point, that the XML attribute in val. XML attribute is nothing, it gives the more information about a particular field, and it makes the XML message more readable, so that people can understand the XML message in very detailed way. If it gives the XML message in detailed manner, and to mention the XML attribute, there are the 2 points. First, we need to select the start tag. Under start tag, we have to give a space and the XML attribute field name equal to, and the value for the XML attribute field. Okay, similarly you can see here for the also the start tag and the XML attribute field name and the value for the XML attribute field. Okay, now let's understand the field value. As name suggests, field plus value is equal to field value. Okay, so it will gives the information, it will gives the value for the field. So for this, let's understand another example. Okay, so for this field, what is the value? This is the value, right? For this field, what is the value? This is the value. For this field again, what is the value? This value. For this field, what is value? This is value. Similarly for the mobile number, the value is this. So field is this and the value is this, and this is called field value. Value for the field, getting the value for a field is called a field value. So we are getting a value 12 for this field, so this is called field value. Okay, similarly for this example, let's understand the thing. Suppose for this example, value for this mail ID field is this. Value for name is this Tiwari. Value for the field mail ID again this is this. Value for the salary is 40,000 and value for the currency is the INR. Value for the experience is 5. Okay, so in this way we can, but how can we get the field value? Okay, so to get the field value, we can similar as we are navigating to the logical tree, we are going to navigate similar manner in the here also. Suppose I want to get a field value for this customer, so again I can write field value and with bracket as a, let me example here as a, okay, suppose I want to get the field value for this customer, so how can we get? Okay, so I can write like that, field value and is bracket, I can write like that, input root dot xml nsc dot order detail dot orders dot customer name. Okay, so this will give the this Risu Tiwari as a field value. Okay, similarly if you want for quantity, then instead of customer name you can write quantity. But how we can get a field value for unit? So for unit you need to write like that, because unit is inside the quantity then you can write like that. You can write quantity dot unit. So it will give the this field value kg. Okay, so in this way we can get the field value. Now let's understand this example. Here, if you want to get a field value for this mail ID, so what you can write? For this name, what you can write? Input row dot xml nsc dot employee dot emp dot name. Correct? mp dot name. So this will give the Risu Tiwari as a field value for this. Now, how can we get the field value for mail ID? So we need to write emp dot as this mail ID is inside the emp, and this mail ID is also inside the emp. That's the one problem created here. But because to access this mail ID, we need to write like that emp dot mail ID. Okay, and to access this mail ID, the same syntax is there. So this will create a problem. So when the field will be same, we cannot directly write like that. We need to write in some other way. So let's understand this with the help of toolkit. So in the field value, what we are going to learn, we are going to send this as an input and we will expect this as a output. Okay, so let's go through toolkit. I have already created a application. You can create application similar like that, new application and application name you can give. Okay, under application I have created a message flow XML attribute field value name. Under that I have used the queue name as a mq input and the mq output. In mq input I have used the queue as name as a test8.in. in mq output I have used the queue as a test8.out. Further, in the mq input message parsing I have selected the xml nsc because I want to parse only xml message, and the parsing option I have selected as complete so that in case of any parsing error happen I can see that. Okay, further in compute mode I just written the code for the other thing, for the field value, for the field name and for the namespace. Okay, that we are going to cover in the, to avoid the delaying, to avoid the time expending in writing the code. So that's reason I have already written the code for the each of the thing. Okay, so let's understand the thing. Okay, each one of them. Why I taken lots of time before going to the toolkit to explain the concept. I want to explain the thing before, what is the XML attribute, how basically field value works, before going to the toolkits, so that you have a better understanding on the field value and field name. Okay, what I did here. Okay, first I declare a reference variable inref. Okay, which is of reference data type, which is directly pointing to employee. So this is the input. So I just created a inref which is directly pointing to employee. So under inref we will get the all value. Okay, further I created a field because I need to send some value to output. So I created a field called output row.exponency.employee. So I created a field called employee in the output with the help of create statement, and further I declare it as a outref to that field that we have created. Okay, further I have used the field value function. With this first line I use the set function I used to create the further field inside the employee. So we can create the field with the help of set syntax also. So set outref is till employee. Under it, I created a field called employee because it is required emp. Under emp, I need the output as a status as is equal to active. So if you want, currently you can see here in input there is not like that, but I want output XML attribute status as equal to active. So if you want to create any XML attribute field, then we have the syntax like that. In bracket you have to write like that XML NAC dot attribute and the field name that we want to create. Okay, so this is the field. EMP is the field. Under EMP we want to create the status as a XML attribute and assign a value as a active, right? So we have the employee field. Under employee, because everything, whatever thing we are writing as a attribute, this will be under the start tag. The start tag is emp and under it is, this is the XML attribute. So it will be like that. If you want to access this status or set this status, so you have to use dot. Similarly, like if you want to access the name, what we are writing, we are using the employee dot emp dot name, right? So we are using dot to access the name. Similarly, if you want to access the status, which is the XML attribute, then you have to use the dot. Similarly, if you want to access this unit, then you access this currency, then you have to use the salary dot currency. So what you have to write, employee dot emp dot salary dot currency. So with the help of that, we can access the currency field, which is the XML attribute field. Okay, the same thing here. What I am doing to, I want to set the status equal to active as a XML attribute field with EMP. So what it is under the EMP, so that's the reason I have mentioned as a, after EMP I have mentioned as a dot, and this field I want as a XML attribute. So that's the reason there is a same syntax called XML attribute dot XML dot attribute and the attribute field name. So attribute field name is a status and I am hard coding the value as active. Okay, so this will create the first line of the code, that is the employee is equal to active. Now come to the second line. Second line is that set outref. I am creating a field called employee, this employee, and name is under the employee. So again I am creating a field called name and I am assigning a value from with the help of inref.emp.name. So inref is still employee. So employee.emp.name. So this value I am taking and assigning against the this name tag that I created. Further, now let's go to the third field, that is the mail ID TCS is equal to this value. Okay, so for the this mail ID is under the EMP, so I will create again a field. So you can see what I created, outref dot emp dot mail ID TCS, because this mail ID is under the EMP. Similarly, this mail ID is also under EMP, so I will create like that. So again outref dot emp dot mail ID Citibank. Okay, now here I am using the field value to access the value of the mail ID, to access this value, because I want us to assign this value here and I want to assign this value here, right, against the field. Against this field I want to assign this value, against this field I want to assign this value. So how can we access these fields, this field, this information? Ideally, if I will write to access this information, what I have to write, input root dot xml nsc, or employee is referring to inref, so inref dot emp dot mail id. So it will be like that. It is inref, right? Inref. So inref dot emp dot mail id will give the mail id for the TCS. Again, to access this mail id, how can we write? Because this, for this is also a child, for this is also a child. Okay, but only difference is that this is the field and this is the XML attribute. So if you want to access this information, again you need to write similar like that. This will also give the information, this one. Okay. But problem is that how, when we are writing the code, how it will give this, because this syntax is same and this syntax is different, is same, but the value are different. So how the ESQL code will decide which information I need to give, right? So that reason we need to mention here the field called XML attribute for the attribute, before the attribute, and XML XNSC field for the field. Because this mail ID, is the attribute field and this mail ID is the field, right? This is called a field and this is called attribute, right? XML attribute, and this is the field. So this is the field inside the EMP and this is the XML attribute field inside the EMP. So this is also a field, but this field is called XML attribute field and this field is called the normal field. But here problem is that if we write like that, input inref dot emp dot mail id, this will give this mail id. But if I will write inref dot emp dot mail id, same syntax will give this. So same syntax, the syntax is same, but the value here different. So it will be a confusion for the ESQL to get which mail ID I need to get. I need to get the TCS mail ID or I need to get the Citibank mail ID. To avoid this such type of confusion, we have the syntax to segregate the information. So as this is the XML, as this is the XML attribute field, so I will write here, before that I will write XML attribute, XML nsc dot attribute before this mail ID, and this will give me the value, this value. As this is the field, this is the field value, this is the field, this is not XML attribute. So I will write here XML nsc dot field. So this will tell, okay, this mail ID is the field for this EMP and this mail ID is the attribute for this EMP, and this will give the Citibank mail ID. Okay. So in this way we can segregate the fields and we can get the value with the help of field value. The field value basically give me the value for this field, mail ID field. Okay, the same thing I have written here. What I did here, in TCS mail ID I written the field value and I just written the inref.emp, and before mail ID I written as a XML attribute, because you can see the TCS mail ID is the XML attribute. Similarly for a Citibank I written like that, field value inref.emp, and because this Citibank mail ID is the field value, so I written as XML c dot field and the mail ID. So till here it is Clear. Now I need to write these two lines. You can see currently we need the two fields, salary and currency, right? So for salary, what is the field value? This is the field value. And for currency, what is the field value? This is the field value. So how can we access this field? Because this is the field, but this is also a field. What is the XML attribute field? So you know the code. If I want to access this salary, I can write inref.emp, and under emp it is salary. So I can write cl salary. So it will give me the value, this 40,000. But if I want to access this currency, because this is also a child of salary, so we can write salary.currency. So if I will write inref.emp.salary.currency, it will give the this value. But it is very important to write field value function before that if you want to access this whole information and this information. Because if you not write the field value, it will take the whole information. If you want to especially mention the field value, then it will take the particular that value. Okay. So same thing I have written here. I created a field called salary and currency under the EMP. So you can see under outref, under EMP, I created a field called salary and I created field called currency. And with the field value function, I written the inref.emp.salary. So inref.emp.salary will give this 40,000 value, and this 40,000 value I assign against the salary. Similarly, I have written like that inref.emp.salary and currency, the child of salary, as a field at XML attribute. So I written as a dot currency. So I mention here as a dot currency, and this dot currency basically give me the value of INR, and this INR I am assigning here under the currency field. So in this way we have achieved the target for these two line of code also. Now let's understand how can we currently here the experience is the 5. I want to set the unit equal to year into the output. Okay. So for that, what I did, I need to set both things, right? I need to set the attribute also, or I need to set the value also for this field. So for this field, I need to access this 5 value also as a field name, and I need to specify, especially set this unit is equal to year. Okay. So for that, what I did, I created a field called till experience under EMP. Under EMP, we need the experience, right? So I created a field experience, and as this is the attribute of experience, so we need to mention the attribute. So with dot, I mention this as a XML SE attribute. And what is the attribute name? Attribute name unit, and I just hard coded value with year. I am doing same thing what I did here for a status. And further, I assign the field value with the field value function is the inref.experience emp.experience. With the help of that, I am just fetching the value 5 and assigning against this 5. So in this way, we can use the field value to access the value of a particular field, whether the field can be a normal field or it can be a XML attribute field. Okay, so let's execute this into the debug mode and let's see how basically the field value function is working. Before that, let me create a bar file. So let me write name as XML attribute. Okay, name. Let me select the application. Okay, this is the application. Okay, build and save done. Let me deploy the application. So bar file has been created. Let me go inside the bar file. Okay, let me deploy the application. Deploy server 1. Okay, deployed. Now let me launch the debugger. You can see it is deployed. And let me open the okay. Let me open the RFH util 2 times. And let me open the queue test 8.out is the 8 dot in. I think it was 9 dot. Let me check. Okay, it is 8. Okay, if I will check what is the queue name for the input, it is the 8 dot in. Okay, so let me select the queue as so let me select the queue test 8 dot in, and let me open the file, and it is the employee detail, right? So I have selected this XML. I have taken this as a mail ID. Okay, and let me see if breakpoint is added. Okay, it is added. And let me hit the flow. Flow has been executed. Now let's go inside the compute mode. You can see I declared INREF, and under INREF you can see I declared INREF till the I declared the INREF till employee. Okay, so now let's understand the thing. You can see this XML is showing like that. Till here, till employee, it is the INREF, and under INREF we have this thing. Okay, so you can see for employee it is like that. Under employee it is showing mail id, name, mail id. You can see that I told already. Okay, so if it is the XML attribute field or it is the normal field, it is under the employee. Okay, so it is the normal field or it is the XML attribute field. This can be accessed with dot, and this can be seen here also. You can see this field name, mail id, name, mail id, this is showing under the emp. Similarly for the currency, you can see for the currency the attribute is the salary. Salary for the attribute is currency, and this I am saying because this currency lie under the salary. You can see from here, you can see under salary the currency is showing and the value is INR. Similarly for experience, it is the value, normally the value is so 5 here. So you can see the thing. Okay, whether it is the XML attribute field or it is the normal field of the XML that lie under the field. Okay, so for this mail id, you can see this mail id is the XML attribute for this emp, and this mail id is the field for this emp. So if you want to access this mail id, you can write dot mail id. If you want to access this mail id also, you can mention a dot mail id. But only difference is that this field is the XML attribute field and this field is the normal field. but both lie under the mail ID, both lie under the employee, and this can be seen from here. Because till employee it is the INREF, under INREF we have the employee. Under employee we are seeing first mail ID as a TCS mail ID. Under that I'm saying the name, again I am saying the mail ID, and you can see this mail ID, name, and the mail ID. TCS mail ID, Citibank and mail ID, and the name, both all three information lie under the employee. And you can see from here itself, this all three, this is also lying under the employee, as attribute always lie inside the field. This name also lie under the employee, this mail ID is also lie under the employee, this salary also lie under the employee, and this experience also lie under the employee. You can see this, if I will close this one, you can see the salary also lie inside the employee, and the experience also lie inside the employee. So these 5 field lie inside the employee. Okay, and the biggest thing is that I have shown you that how the attribute thing lie inside the employee, the field, right? Because this is the attribute and this lie inside the employee, and this is the field, this lie inside the employee itself. Okay, similarly you can see for salary the XML attribute is the currency, and this as per the definition it should lie under the salary. So you can see under the salary we have the currency as attribute, and you can value this. So if you want to access this currency, you can write inref dot emp, because under emp we have the salary, the dot salary, under salary we have the currency, so you can write dot currency, and this will give me the value of this INR. Now, so in this way you have seen how basically we are basically referring the field that is containing the XML attribute. Okay, now let's create the field. I created a field in output till employee, so you can see till employee XML dot employee I have field created. You can see I created a field dot XML dot employee in the output. I will declare with the outref till employee, so that I don't need to use again. Now you can see I just declared the outref. So currently you can see under employee there is no field is there. So under employee, this is the under employee, currently nothing is showing. This all I need to set. So how can we set? You can see now I will execute each one of the line and I will be showing you, and let's try to focus on this and try to understand the thing. So with if I will write outref, set outref dot experience, so with the help of set I can create the field. So I will be creating a field called emp under employee. Further I want to set the status as a attribute for the employee, XML attribute for employee. Okay, so what I can write, and as status is the attribute for employee, so if I want to set, I need to write dot status. Okay, so I will be writing dot status, but it is the attribute, so that's reason I have to write before that as a XML attribute. So once I will execute this line, a field under emp status is going to create, and a value active is going to create set. Okay, so you can see employee field is there. Under employee you can see I have created the employee. Under employee we are going to create a field called status, and active value is going to set. You can see under that active value I have set it, and under the field of a status. Okay, so this status is the attribute for emp, and the value for the XML attribute is the active. So to create remember to create the XML attribute for a particular field, you have to mention the field name dot field name dot, in bracket you have to mention the XML dot attribute and the attribute field, and the value you want to set, you have to write here. Okay. Now in next line, I'm just under the employee, I'm creating a field called name and assigning the value from the inref.emp.name. So I'm just taking the value from here. inref.emp.name will give me Risu Tiwari. So this value I'm taking as a Risu Tiwari and I'm assigning against the emp. So again the emp, I'm creating a field called name and assigning the value. So you can see under emp, I'm creating a field called name and assigning value Risu Tiwari. Now with this line, what I'm going to do, under emp I am going to create a field called mail TCS ID. So under emp we have the field currently name and status. So I am going to create a field called mail TCS ID, and further I am going to create a field called mail Citibank. Okay. So mail TCS, mail Citibank, I am going to create these two field. Okay. And I am accessing value with the mail ID. Okay. So if you go here in the INREF, if you want to access this mail, you can see if I will write inref.emp.mail ID, you can see there are two field with the same mail ID. This field is also with the mail ID, this field with also with mail ID. So this will take only this field, because it will by default it will take the first child. It will not move for the other to check with the other child, because so every time it will return this value, but I need to fetch this value also. So how can we achieve? So this can be achieved by specifying that this field is the attribute field and this field is the actual field. Okay. So if that type of confusion happen where it is not possible to decide whether the field is the XML, it is not possible to decide how can we access a particular field when the field name is same. You can see the field name and this is the field name and this field name is same. So if I will access inref.emp.mail ID, so this will access this information, but this will not take this information, because this mail ID is after this all thing and it will by default take as a first mail ID. So it will be difficult to fetch this information. So how can we fetch this information? This can be fetched information by specifying that this field belongs to this field belongs to attribute and this field belongs to the field. So as you know that the mail ID for the TCS belongs to the attribute and mail ID for the Citibank belongs to the field. So what we can do, we can under EMP while accessing the value, I will be mentioning XML NSC attribute before the mail and XML NSC field for the this as this value is the field value, as this value is the attribute value. So what I can write inref.emp.xml attribute dot mail id. So this will give this information, TCS mail id. If I will write inref.emp.xml in bracket and mail id, so this will give the Citibank mail id. So this thing and we are using the field value because I want to access only this value, only this isutiwari.tcm.com and rtiwari.citibank.com. okay, so this only information I want to access, so that's the reason I am using the field value. So field value will give me the value for this field, that mail id and this mail id. okay, so you can see once I executed this first line, you can see the field value, you can see field created for the mail id TCS and the value assigned for the TCS, this one. Similarly, if I will execute another line, the field for the Citibank has been created and the value has been assigned. Okay. Now let's go concentrate on salary. Further, I need to create the help field for salary and currency. Okay. You can see salary. If we will go further, Let's understand this. So under emp, I need these are the field currently present: salary, name, mail ID, and Citibank mail. I need salary and currency also. So once I will execute these two line, a field called salary is going to create under the emp, and a field called currency is going to create under the salary under the emp. Okay, and we are from where I am going to fetch the value. If you will go under the INREF, under INREF you can see currently if you want to access the field value for salary, what you can write: INREF dot emp dot salary. This will give the field value 40,000. The same thing I am using here. For the salary I am writing the INREF dot emp dot salary, and this is giving me the 40,000 value, which is the salary. And before that I am using the field value because I want to access this 40,000 information. Similarly, if I want to access the currency also, because I want to set the currency also, so as currency is inside the salary, so I need to again write inref dot emp dot salary dot currency. I will be using to access the INR. Okay, as currency is inside the salary, so I need to use the dot currency. Okay, so same thing I am using here. I am using the dot currency to access the value for the currency, and we are using field name because I want to access this only information INR. I want to access the value for a field, so that's why I'm using the field value. Okay, so if I will execute the both line, you can see once I will execute, you can see under the EMP both salary and the currency has been value has been created, field has been created, and the value has been setted. Now let's focus on the last thing. Last, I want experience field to be created, and the value for experience I want to fetch from the input as a 5, and especially I want to mention a unit for the experience, which is the year. Okay, for that what I can do, as experience lie inside the EMP, so again I am going to create a field exp under the EMP. So you can see I am creating a field dot exp under the EMP. So under EMP I will be creating a field experience, but under that I have the two field, right? Under experience I have a field value this, and I have a attribute this. To access attribute, what we are using the dot, because always the attribute field lie inside the actual field. Unit is the attribute for experience, so it will, if you want to access this attribute value, then you can write exp dot unit. Okay, but here we are setting as attribute, so I will especially mention as a XML NSC attribute and the attribute field name and the value for that, like here what I did. So once I will execute this line, attribute for the experience which is going to create, you can see I executed the line, and you can see currently I have not setted the value for experience. You can see value is showing blank, but you can see under experience I created a field called unit, which is a attribute, and the value is year. Once I will execute the another line of code, you can see the value will be also going to assign from the input. From where value is going to assign? Value is going to from assign from the INREF. So if you go INREF, you can see currently the experience, so it is the, we can access value from the INREF dot emp dot experience exp will give this value. Okay, so you can see here unit is the attribute for the experience. Okay, and status is the attribute for the EMP, and you can see both is lying under the their field. Status is lying under the EMP and the unit is lying under the experience. So always unit lie inside the field. Okay, and to access the field, then you have to access the attribute, you need to use the dot operator, dot to fetch the attribute field or attribute value. Okay, so in this way we have achieved the target that we are expecting, this information, and same thing you can see in the output if I will do return true. So let's do the return true. Okay, return to, and you can see the same message I have written to the output queue. So let me go to the queue to show you. So let me test it dot out. You can see the same information here. Employee status is active, name, TCS mail ID with the TCS mail ID, Citibank mail ID with Citibank mail ID, salary with the 40,000, currency with the INR, and experience with the unit year, and the value is a 5. Okay, so in this way we have, with the help of field value, we have achieved our target that we are expecting. Okay, so if I will take one more minute to explain this again. Okay, XML attribute is will give me the more information about the attribute about the particular field. To set the attribute for a particular field, we have to use, suppose I want to set a particular field attribute for EMP, then I can write the EMP dot XML NSE attribute and attribute field and the value we want to assign for the attribute. Similarly, to access the attribute, we can mention simple. If there will be no confusion, then I can write like that inref.emp.salary. This will give me the value for the salary. This will give me the value for the currency. But if there will be a confusion, the field will be same and it is not possible to decide, okay, which field we need to access the information. When the, you can see under EMP the field is mail ID, under this EMP also the field is mail ID. So in that case we need to especially mention the this field mail ID belongs to the attribute and this field mail ID belongs to the field. Okay, and further with the help field value we can access the mail ID for the TCS and we can access mail ID for the Citibank. Okay, so this is how the field value function works. Okay, now let's understand the field name. Now let's understand the field name, but before that let me comment this code. Field value, okay, sorry, field name. Okay, as name suggests, field name, field plus name, so it will give the name of a field. Okay, as previously it was suggesting the field value, it means field plus value, so it will giving the field value of a field. So it is as name, this is field name, so it will give me the name of the field. Okay, so what is the name of the field? Suppose let's take example for this EMP, what is the name of this field? EMP. For this mail ID, what is the name of this field? Mail ID. For this name, what is the field of name of the field? Name. For this, what is the name of the field? Mail ID. For this, what is the name of the field? Salary. For this, what is the name of field? That is the experience. Okay, so in this way we can access the field name. Same way that we are accessing the same way we are accessing the field value, in same way we can access the, okay, field name. Okay, suppose here if I want to access the field name for the name, so what I can write inref is pointing till employee, so inref dot emp dot name will give me this name field. Similarly for this, let's take example. Suppose here when I was using the field value, it was giving this value, right? Okay, suppose if I will use instead of field name field value, I will write field name. Okay, and if I will write here as a field name, so this will give me the field name, field for this name. What is the field for this name? Field for this name is the mail ID. So this will be this again, sorry, so this will be this, and further this will be this. Okay, so this will give me the field name. This field name we can access with the attribute, same thing, same way, and this field name we are accessing with the help of XML NSE field. So this is how the we can use the field name. So field name will give me the name of the field. Same way I have taken the few of the example to show you. Let me directly execute the flow in debug mode and explain the thing. Okay. Okay, it is saying deployment is unsuccessful. Okay, let me uncomment this code because I have not uncommented this. Now it is fine, nothing problem. Okay, correct. Now let me again bar file. Let me build and save the bar file. Build and save done. Let me deploy the solution. Okay, I need to deploy here. I'm deploying to some other way. Okay, it is deployed successfully. Let me check if anything I have deployed here. Okay, let me delete this thing. Okay, so it is deployed successfully here. Now debugger is already launched, so let me hit the flow. So flow, I just hit the flow, executed the flow, it came here. Let me go inside the compute node. With the help of inref, I am declaring the till employee. So under, you can see under emp we have the same thing, email id, these all thing. Under currency we have the salary under the currency, and this all thing. So this all thing you know very well because I explained few minutes back. I'm creating the field with the help of out till employee. So I'm till employee, I'm creating the field, I'm declaring with the help of outref. Now let's understand from here. With the help of declare statement, I am just declaring the few field name 1 which is the character type. Again I am declaring a field name 2 with the character type. I am declaring a field name 3 with the character type. I am declaring the field name 4 with the character type, and further I am assigning the value for this all with the help of field name function. Okay, now let's understand the thing. Okay, suppose you can inref is still employee. So under inref we have this all information, and this can be seen into in logical tree. This can be seen in this way. Okay, so if I want to access the field name for name, what I can write inref.emp.name. So you can see here I am written the inref.emp.name, and before that I am using the field name function. This will give me the name, and name will be assigned against the field name var 1. Okay, similarly if I want to access the field name for currency, so I can write the inref dot emp dot salary dot currency. So this will give me the currency field, and this currency field is going to assign against the field var 2. Similarly, if I want to access the field name for this mail id and for this mail id, again this mail id we can access with the inref.emp.mail id. So this will give me this mail id, this field. But how can we access this field also? To same way we can do, I can write inref.emp.xml attribute, as because this is the attribute field, and the mail id, so it will give me the this field name. Similarly you can write inref.emp.xml field mail id, so this will give me the this field. Okay, the same thing I have written here, inref.emp.xml attribute and the mail id, this one. So this will give me the mail id. Similarly if I am writing here inref.emp xml field dot mail id, so this one, so it will give me the this mail id. So this will not give the value, this will give the field name. Field name means mail id, field name means mail id, name, mail id, salary, currency. This thing will give this. These are the field value and these are the field name. Okay, so there you need to there is a difference between the field value and the field name. Value means the value of the field, and field name is the name of the field. Okay, so let me execute the flow and let me show you. Okay, so you can see the first variable has been declared, second declared, third declared, and the fourth declared. So value all four variable has been declared, which is of character type. Further, I am going to set the value with the help of field name. Once this line is going to execute, what it is going, it is setting a value against the field name var1. What value it is setting? It is setting the field name and ref dot emp dot name. So and ref dot emp dot name is the this name, and this will give the, and we are using field name before that, so this will give me the name for field name. So you can see for the field var1 name has been assigned. Similarly for currency, it will give the currency because the field name for currency is the currency. You can see currency. Similarly for the field name for the mail ID, we will give the mail ID, and for the again mail ID, we will give mail ID. Okay, you can see same thing it has been given, right? So that I already explained. So field name will give me the name of the field. So okay, so for here you can see we have got the field name as a name because this mail field name. Similarly for this currency, I have got the this field name, and we can write like that inref.emp.salary.currency enclosed with the bracket field name. It will give me the field name for currency. Okay, similarly I can write for the mail ID, I can write like that. This will give me the attribute mail ID, and this will give me the field mail ID. And if I will write field name before that function, then this will give me this mail ID, and this will give me this mail ID, and this same mail ID you can see here. Now till now we have understand the how basically we can access the field name function. Okay, now let's understand one real use case for the field name. Suppose I am checking if the name is not null, then in output I am sending the name. Else if name is null, then I am checking if the mail ID field name or is not null, and I am using and, it means both conditions should be true, and this is also not null. If both condition is not null, then I am just sending the mail ID for the TCS attribute mail ID, and if both cases is not satisfying, then I am just sending the output as a employee detail is incomplete and mandatory field are name and mail ID, please enter the details. Okay, so what I am doing, let me again explain you. I am checking if the field name is field name is present, it means it is not null. If the field name for the this is not null, if it means in other way I can say that if this name tag is coming from input, then in output I am creating a field called employee.detail.name, and I am just sending the name value from the input. In case someone is sending the name as a null, it means they are not sending the name field, then in that case I will be checking the another condition. If the attribute mail ID, it means this field, okay, is not null, and this field is not null, both should be not null. If both will be not null, then I am just sending the attribute mail ID to output. If mail ID is also blank, name is also blank, then the information is not complete, then I am just sending to the output as a employee detail is incomplete mandatory field are name and the mail ID. Okay, so let me execute the flow. So currently you can see everything is present, main name is present. So field name for the name, what is the field name for the name? Field name for the this and this main field name for this name is name. So here it will return as a name. So name is not null. So this condition is true. So this will going to execute. So you can see this has executed, and in output we will get the name value. So in output you can see under detail we can see the name value we are get, and this will we can see in the output queue. So you can see the same thing in the name I am getting the output. Okay, now let's try one thing. Let's send the name field as a blank, as a not a blank, as a null. So I'm just removing the name field. Okay, now I am not sending this time name field. Okay, so let me execute the flow again. So is you can see I am just sending the field that does not contain the name. It means the name field is null. So field name for the name is null. Declare the and ref, created the field, declared out ref. You can see I declare the field where one. Okay, now once this line is going to execute, it will check the field name for the name. So andref dot emp dot name, but currently there is no field name field, right? So this means this will be null. So null value is going to assign against the field name var1. You can see against field var name1 null value has been assigned. You can see null value has been assigned. So it will check a condition. It will check a condition if inref.emp.name. So you can see inref.emp.name. This is, you can see currently there is no name field, right? So it means it is null. So this condition is not satisfying because it is as per condition this field name should be not null, but you can see here it is null, right? So this will not go to the if condition. It will check the other condition, else if the field name for the mail id, attribute mail id, this one is not null. So it is just, it is not null. You can see this is for attribute, right? This is for attribute. So this is for attribute. So field var3 you can see present, currently you can see field var is exist. Okay, similarly field var4 is also exist. So both condition is satisfying. You can see and with the and operator, because and in and condition both should be satisfied. So this line of code is going to execute, and in output we are going to see the mail id. Okay, so you can see directly it executed this line, and in output you can see the same thing. So you can see the output, you can see the mail id for the TCS we are getting, right, as per the code we have written. As per code what we have written, in the output we will get the this mail id, attribute mail id, right? Now let's try to do one thing. Let me delete the attribute field name. For emp attribute value, let me delete and let me send it. So we don't have the currently the field name for the attribute. You can see currently under the emp I am not sending any attribute. So currently we have the only one mail id, that is the field mail id, and there is no name. So let's see what is happening. So you can see currently the name field is declared. You can see currently inref.name, under inref we have the emp, under we have the only one mail id, that is the Citibank mail id, which is the field mail id. Salary and the EMP is present, right? Under salary we have the currency. So once this name field is null, so this field var1 you will assign with null. Similarly for field var2 currency is present, so it will currency will be there. For this thing, inref dot emp dot xml nsc attribute dot mail, you can see under emp there is no xml nsc attribute, and from here you can see also under emp there is no xml nsc attribute, right? So this whole will return as a null because there is no field name for the mail id, because mail id is blank. Mail id is not present in the logical tree. We are not getting mail id field from the input root. Okay, so once this will execute, you can see the field var3 is null. You can see it is null. Now again for the field we will get the mail id. Okay, now if condition will, this condition will check name is null, is not null, so this condition will not satisfy, so it will not go inside the if. You can see it directly go to else. Why it go directly go to else? Because you can see as per the condition, if else if attribute mail id is not null but it is null, you can see attribute mail id is null, and the field mail id is not null. So condition is that this both should be enclosed with and applied with and operator, so both should be true. Okay, if there will be or operator, then any one true, that's fine, and it will return true. But if you are using and operator, in that case both condition will be true, then it will return true. So here this condition is false but this condition is true, so false and true will return false. It will only return true when the both condition will be true. Okay, so that's then it directly come to here and we will get as a employer detail is incomplete in the output. You can see. So even if I will send like that, if I will do like that, even if I will remove this field, it will give the same result because condition will be not true. Executed, came here, declared field var1, field var1, field var1. Okay, in field var1 you can see the name field is not present, so it will return null. You can field var1 null, right? In field var2 currency is present, so it will return the currency. In field var3 the attribute mail is, you can see attribute mail id is present, so it will return the field name as a mail id. So in field var3 we will get as a mail id. You can see in field var3 we will get a mail id, but in field var4 you can see currently there is no field present inside the emp that contain the mail id, so that will return a blank. So in field var4 it will return as a null. So you can see field var4 it will return as a null. So if condition will check whether emp is null, not null, so that is not satisfying, so it will go again check the else if condition. Else if condition is like saying that if the attribute mail id, okay, so if the attribute mail id, it means mail id, this one, the field var3, okay, this is not null, so this condition is true, but this condition you can see field name for the field is not null, but field name for the field is null, you can see, because here it is coming as null. So what is this here? Like this is true but this is false, but we are adding with the and operator, so false and true, sorry, this is true and this is false, so true and false, it will return the false. only it can be a true, only both condition will be true, but here one condition is true and the other condition is false. Okay, so it will again directly came here and it will execute the this line. You can see directly came here, it will execute this line and we will get the same thing in output. You can see the same thing output. Now let's understand the third case. Third case is like that, when the both will be not there. Suppose if this mail id will also not be there, so again this will return the same thing, because if I will again write the message, so it will go inside the compute node, declare the ref, created field, declare outer of fault. You can see the ref name field is not present, so it will return null. Currency will return currency. You can see for the attribute there is no mail id, so it will return the null. For field it is, there is no also mail id, so it will also return null. So first condition is not satisfying because the name field is null, so it will go to else if. Further it will check for the if the field for the attribute is present, so is not null, so this condition is false because it is null. Again we will check the field for field name for the field, so it is also it is also null, because you can see field var3, field var4 both are null and there is no mail id field. Okay, so both is null. This is also null and this is also null. Okay, so here both condition is false. This is false and this is false. Okay, not satisfying. Okay, so false and false will return the false. Okay, so it will, this line is not going to execute and this will directly come to else block and this will be going to execute. So you can see this is executed and you can see the same thing in output. Sorry, in the output queue. You can see, right? So in this way we have learned the field name. Again, if I will take 1 minute to consolidate the field name function. So as name suggests, field name is used to get the field name for a particular field. If you want to get the field for name for the name, you can use the field name function before this. If you want to get the field name for the currency, you can currency like that. If the field attribute contain mail id and the field contain mail id and this type of situation came, then in that case you can specify exponential attribute to say that this field is the attribute field and exponential field before this field to say that this field is the field. Okay, further there is a use case I explained where I am checking if the field name exists or not. If field name is not null, then I am just sending to output for the name. Else if I am checking the if the mail id field name is not null and if the mail id for the field name is not null, this is for the attribute and this is for the field. Okay, if both condition is satisfying, I am sending the mail id for the attribute to output. If one of the condition is not satisfying, then it will return false and we are getting this as a output that the employee detail is incomplete and mandatory field are name and mail id fpg enter details. Okay, something like that. Okay, so in this way we have achieved the see how basically field name works. Okay, now let me comment this, and last thing we are going to cover the namespace. Okay, that is also very important. Okay, so let me comment this thing also. Okay, let me comment this. Okay, and let me uncomment this. Okay, and let me uncomment this. Okay, now use of namespace. Let's understand the namespace. What is mean by namespace and why it is so important? If you see this XML, this contains the order details, contain the order, right? And the field for the each order is same, right? The field for the each order is same, and we are doing looping things or the select statement to set the output and to fetch the information, right, from this logical tree or even, right? But what if this field is different, this field is different, this field is different? Okay, so we cannot exactly apply the looping and we cannot exactly apply the, right? Suppose here you have the customer name, quantity. Let me take example like that to explain you. Let me do from where I can take the example. Suppose I have this, where I can take the example. Not getting it. Okay, let me take the here example. Okay, let me take. Okay, okay. What will happen if this type of example came? Suppose here we have the parent tag as a order detail, right? Under we have the two orders, first order and second order. For both field name are same, orders and orders. But under that we have the different field. Here the customer name, quantity, total price, delivery address and mobile number. But here we have the name, quantity, sales amount, address and the contact detail. Okay, so you can see these all fields are different, containing the same information but different field, right? So in that case, the what will be the challenge? Challenge will that we cannot apply the select statement to fetch the information, and we cannot, right? Even it will be problem when we are applying the looping, because in looping we mainly check whether the same field are there, and if the field are same, then we are directly applying the with the few line of code we are applying the looping. Okay, so that will create a problem. Okay, to avoid this thing we are using the namespace. Mostly namespace are used because when we have the different data, suppose here it is required the customer detail, here it is a sales data, right? So both are different data, then in that case we are using the namespace. So consider this example. This is the actual namespace example. Here we have the details field, under details we have the table field. Okay, and okay, Under table we have the row and the column, but here you can see under table here the name, length and breadth. Okay, so this field is common, table field is common, but this contain different information. This contains some column information, and this contains some information about the furniture, length and breadth. Okay, so to segregate this thing we are using the namespace. So what I am doing, I am just using the XML ns colon h and some URL that basically tell about this more information about this table. And with the each field I am using h colon h colon h colon. So to access the information, what you can write like that, details dot, suppose I want to access this value, so what I can write it, details dot each colon table dot each colon row dot each column, and it will give me this value. Similarly, if I want to access this if length information 20, so I can write details dot if table dot if length, it will give me 20. Okay, so in this way we can fetch the value. So in this way we don't need to apply the array thing, we can directly, because we have differentiate the field with the help of namespace. So namespace is used to differentiate the field, one field with the other, so that it will not create a confusion, so which field belong to which. Okay, so that thing you need to remember. So what is the use of namespace? Namespace is used to differentiate the field, one field from another. You can see now, we can see this field is different from this, because this contain the h colon table, this contain the f colon table. And what is h? H is this namespace. What is f? F is this namespace. So there is a URL that tells about this namespace, right? Now, so this is all about the namespace. Okay, so how can we, suppose I want to send this as an input and I want to expect this as output, so same message as output, so how can we write the namespace? Okay, to write the namespace, first we need to declare the namespace. So first what I can write, declare h namespace and the URL for the h. This is the URL for name h, so I am writing will be this URL. Similarly, for declare if namespace and the URL for this URL for this I will be writing for the second namespace. Okay, after declaring, what I can write here, I'm writing inref till the details to access the information under details. Further, I am creating creating the outref with the out till output, and with the help of last child I am just creating a field details, because I want details in the output. So I'm just either you can write this thing, or either you can write that create field output dot exponential dot details, that will also same. Okay, so I'm declaring outref, and further I am creating a field output root dot exponential dot detail and referring to the outref with the help of as under the h dot table namespace is present. This is the namespace, so we need to mention this same thing. So what I can write at set outref dot h, outref dot, see the outref is still details, so outref dot h dot table, h colon table, so outref dot h colon table. Under that, because under table this is declared, right? So I can write like that, dot xml nsc namespace declaration. And what is the namespace name? The namespace name is this. So namespace is this. And what is the value for this? So value is this URL, right? So this is, and what is the value of this h we have declared? We have here this. So here I can here you can write a b c d anything, right? If you will write here a, so you have to mention here as a. Okay, so don't consider like that it is h mandatory, right? Here you can write anything, but whatever you are writing there, you can have to mention this thing there. Okay, so with the help of this line of code, what I am doing here, in output root I am creating this line of code. I am using details is still inref. So inref dot each column table dot xml namespace declaration. So for that xml ns colon h, the xml ns colon h, and as this is the namespace, so I am writing xml ns dot namespace and URL value. So URL value is h, so I am using that this like. Okay, similarly for the if I am doing same thing. I am using outref dot if dot table, outref dot if dot table. Under that this is the namespace, so I am using the xml ns dot namespace and the namespace name, and the URL value I am using here. And after that I am setting the value. What I am setting here, I am using set outref dot h dot table dot h dot row dot h dot column. Okay, and I am accessing from the input root that inref dot h dot column table dot h dot row dot h dot column. Okay, the same thing I am just creating the field, and if you want to access this abc information, then you can write inref dot h dot table dot h dot row dot h dot column will give you that information abc. Okay, similarly if you want to get the length or this all three information, you can write did inref dot each if dot table dot if column name, so this will give you this information. If I will write inref dot if column table dot if dot column length, is they will give you this 20 information. If you want to get access this information, then you can write inref dot if colon table dot if colon breadth will give this information. Similarly we are accessing the information of the breadth, accessing information from the length, accessing the information from the name, and setting us to output, and we are getting it output. Okay, so let me execute the flow and let me show you how basically it is working. So it is deployed successfully. Now let me execute the flow. Let me select the message namespace. Okay, so I have selected this message. Now let me write the message. It came here. Go inside the compute node. Okay, you can see namespace has been declared. How can we check? You can see under default, if you go, you can see if, which is of character type, and the value is this. Okay, similarly h has been declared with this value. Okay, so we have declared the namespace. Now once inref will execute, under inref you can see we have the table and we have the, okay, like that. You can see how it is different. You can see under inref inref is pointing till details, so inref is pointing till details. So under inref we should have this information. So as it is the namespace, you can see, and it is similar like that. We have used the xml nsc xml attribute. As you know that the if it in that place it will be xml attribute, then what, how can we access the attribute? We use the table dot attribute, right? Similarly we use the table dot namespace to access the namespace information or to set the namespace information. Okay, the same thing we can see here. And table field is showing, you can see table field. Under table we have the field showing this attribute h. So you can see under we have the h showing and the URL showing. So under table the h is showing. And after if I will do like that, you can see, and further row and column. So under row we have the, further under the row we have the column and the value is this. So under this table we have the row, under this row we have the column and the value is this. Similarly for if you can see like that. For table, under this table we have the, under this table we have the this namespace, and these all also are under the table, right? So same thing it is showing here. You can see if is showing also under the table, and then this name length breadth also is showing under the table. It is similar if you remember the XML attribute. If there was a attribute field beside a field, so we can access using the dot operator, and same field is also accessing with the help of dot operator, right? The same thing we are using for the namespace also. We are accessing the namespace value with the help of dot operator, and we are accessing the field value with the help of dot operator. And the namespace is also showing under the field, and the actual field is also showing under the field. You can see here if is the namespace, and these are the field on the table, right? And but as this if is under the table, so it will show under table. Name and length breadth, this also show under the table. Okay, now let's create the output route. You can see currently in output route there is no field, but once I will execute, it will create a field till detail. So field till detail has been created. You can see now let's understand this line. Set out ref colon each dot table, so it will create a field called table. Under that we need to declare the namespace, so I will be writing the XML NAC namespace declaration, and the namespace name as this, and I will be giving value h, and h will be taken from here, this field. So let's see how it is looking. After executing, you can see it is showing like that, table under table h and this URL. Once I will execute another line, you can see this will be looking row under row the column ABC. So what I am doing here, I am setting a, under output under the details, I am just creating a field h dot table, so it is the table. Okay, and under table I'm creating a field row, under row I'm creating a field column and assigning value ABC, and this value I'm assigning from the inref. You can see inref dot table dot row dot column, so inref dot table dot row dot column. Okay, similarly I am doing for the if also. You can see I just executed a line, and the another table has been created, and the value if URL has been created. And similarly I will be using line of code to set the value for the if also. You can see I setted the name, length, breadth, these all things, and same thing we are going to get into output. If I will browse the output queue, you can see the same information, that each dot table and the namespace, each dot row, and if name, length, breadth, these all things. Okay, right? So in this way we can access the namespace. Okay, so let me just give you some definition type of thing with for the namespace. Okay, that's the some Google things. Okay, so namespace are used to organize and manage the XML data. this already told you कि namespace give you the more detailing thing, and it will be giving you the detail about the XML. Avoid the name conflict, all it will do, because if I will mention the H and if like that, so we don't need to use the array thing, we can directly access the field with the H colon table and H if colon table. Okay, so it will give me the clear picture about the field, and we don't need to use the array or the looping things to access the field, we can directly access the field. Okay, so that's the thing. But here if you see the situation that I already explained in the sales data, here it was a difficult situation happen, because if I will order the customer name, so it will confuse, it will be that and order dot name, so it will be confusing, because here the order field are same but the fields are different, right, for this thing. But if I will mention the namespace for this one, so it will be giving the clear picture, and we don't need to use the array and these all things, it will directly, we can access the field, and it will give you the clear picture about the field. Okay, and improve the code readability. Okay, so it will be easy for me to read the code and to understand with the help of input message. Okay, namespace allow you to group the related element and attribute and make it easier to work with the complex document. Okay, so that's the thing. When we are working with the namespace, okay, this mainly we use when we have the complex XML. Suppose I have the XML that is very complex, lots of field, and under that field and under that field, and this will become confusion, right? And when someone is going to read that thing, that will create a confusion. So when we use the namespace thing, when you use this namespace thing, so it will become the easy, and it will be make the user to read the thing. Okay, this H related to this, right, this F related to this. Okay, so it will become easy to understand, and help the user, and help the to understand and make the more readable. Okay, so this already told you, avoid the naming conflict. Different part of XML document can be used the same name without chasing. Okay, so you can see already we can use the different part, you can use this without any problem. You can, because name this field is segregating and this field is segregating, so both field are different, we can use it. Okay, keep the related element group together and make it easier to navigate and understand. I already told you it will make me it will help me to uh, make my code easier, make my code readable, make my code understandable, make my code uh, better. Okay, so in simple, if I say, the name space is used to avoid the name conflict and improve the code readability. When this is mainly used when we have a complex type of XML, where it is very hard to design the XML and very hard to organize the XML. So in that case, we basically use the namespace to segregate the field, so that we can easily use the ESQL code, and we can easily read the code, we can easily read the XML, and we can easily understand the XML. Okay, so that's about the namespace, and I hope you have understand. So further I will be taking 2 minutes to summarize the all thing. Okay, so first we have learned about the XML attribute. So XML attribute is nothing, it will give the more information about the field, it will give the more information about the field. So if I will mention here the unit is equal to kg, so this is the attribute for the quantity, this is the currency is the attribute for the this price, and the country code is the attribute for this mobile number. So with the help of attribute, we can get the more information about the field now, and we can access the attribute as similar way as we access the tree. If you want to access the country code, you can use the mobile number dot country code, it will give you the information about this country code. Okay, so as similar way you access the logical tree, you can access the attribute. Okay, further we have seen the field value. As name suggests, the field value is used to access the value of the field. If you want to set some attribute, then you have to use XML ns dot attribute and the attribute field name and the value. Okay, and also you know that attribute lie inside the field, so you can use the dot emp dot and the attribute name to access the attribute status attribute for the emp. Okay, similarly if the fields are confusing, if the fields are same, if you want, you can segregate the field with the xmlnc attribute and xmlnc field to tell that this field belongs to the attribute and this field belongs to the field. Okay, in this way we can access the value of the field, you can access the field value. Now after that we have seen the field name. As name suggests field name, so it will give me the name of the any field, okay, that we want to get. Okay, so here we have seen the few of the use case. Here with the help of that we are accessing the name field, we are accessing the currency field, we are accessing the mail id, and we are accessing the mail id, but here both are the same mail id. So again we need to mention the whether this is the attribute mail id and this is the field mail id. So this will give the mail id also and this will give the mail id also, but this mail id is the attribute mail id and this gives the field mail id. Okay, further I have tried one use case to explain you how can we use the field name function in ESQL. So I tried to check the field name for the field name is not null, is null or not. So if field name is null, so we are checking some other condition. Further, if it is null, then we are checking some other condition, and as per the condition we are setting the value. Okay, so in this way we have seen the how can we access the name of a particular any field with the help of field name function. Further, we have seen the use of namespace. As name suggests, a namespace, it is used to segregate the field to avoid the conflict into the field. So with the help of namespace we can avoid the name conflict, and we can increase the we can improve the code readability. So you can see here in the namespace I have used the h and f as a namespace, where the value for the h is this URL and for the value for the f is this URL, and we can assign this h with the help of which every field, so that we can directly access the table value with the help of details dot h dot h dot table, and further from the each dot h dot row dot h dot column. So in this way we can access the field. Similarly, for if you want to access the length, so you can write the details dot f colon table dot f colon length. In this way we don't need to worry about the fields that are repeating, because we have segregated the field and now field are not repeating. So we can directly access the field, and it will be avoid confusion of for the user, and it will make them more readable and more understandable, and it will improve the code readability and will help the user to understand in better way. Okay, so for that what I did, I declare the initially with the namespace a variable h which is of type namespace and with this URL, and a variable f with the namespace with this URL. Okay, further I use the inref to declare refer the input and created the output route till the details. With the help of outref h.table, I declare the you can use the xml ns.namespace declaration before the namespace to declare the namespace, and further I can set the value with the namespace. Similarly, for the if I use the namespace declaration and I set the value with the URL and I use this thing. Okay, so in this way we can use the namespace. Okay, further I want to tell you one thing. Okay, if you want, instead of writing here this URL, you can do one thing. You can directly mention here also, so this will be also correct. If you write here and if you write this here. Okay, so let me one. Okay, so this is also correct. So instead of writing to each field, you can write to the parent tag also, so that is also correct. Okay, so that's not you need to know. So you can directly mention here the namespace also, and both in namespace, that is also correct. So most of the time in the real world, real use case, you are going to see the namespace at the top, because mostly we mention the namespace at top, and after that we use the namespace. Okay, so that's about the namespace, field name, field value, and the XML attribute. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed lesson. If you have any question, any doubt, you can reach out to me. Thank you all.